And today on the show, we are hosting one of the men who has been driving the agenda in the financial sector, and that is the CEO for the Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation, Mohammed N. Mohammed. He joins us live now on the show. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you again.
Let's just begin by breaking it down for the common mwananchi. What does the Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation do for the taxpayers?
Thank you, Agina, and good afternoon, viewers. Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation is your partner in ensuring that your deposits are safe in the banks, and that in case a bank has a problem, it will efficiently resolve that problem so that our future strategy is not to have any bank failure in Kenya. We want to resolve banks as what they call as a going concern. That is, resolve a bank while it's still in business.
Yes.
With our new mandate and our new act, which now empowers us to work closely with the Central Bank of Kenya and the National Treasury, we shall be, just like the way a doctor is, we shall be checking the banks together with the Central Bank. We'll be looking at those examination reports. So where we see any kind of red flag or where we see there is a kind of a problem, we'll resolve that problem there and then.
All right.
We don't need to wait for the problem tomorrow to become terminal and then causes the bank to fail. And that is what KDIC stands for.
All right. Very elaborate introduction there. Let's talk about the industry at large. Currently, we had 3 banks that faced some distress in the Kenyan market. That was Imperial Bank, we had Chase Bank, and we also at some point had Dubai Bank. Let's talk about the most recent that there's some hope. That is Imperial Bank. Just a few days, actually a few weeks ago, yourself and the Central Bank did issue a statement indicating that Imperial Bank is having chances of getting a buyer, and that is the Kenya Commercial Bank. Just break this down for us, especially what should the consumers expect? People who have their money locked in the bank, and of course, what does it mean for KCB as an institution?
And thank you, Agina. And if you look at the resolutions we have done this time in Kenya, these resolutions, or what I call problem solving of the banks, our members who are the banks have really come out to assist us in resolving this bank. And in the terminology of deposit insurance, they call it private sector resolution strategy. So you saw Chase Bank was taken over by SBM Kenya.
Yes.
Through a carved out assets, and that carving out of the assets, or portion of the assets moving and portion remaining with KDIC, is now anchored in our law, and these are the new strategies that now we are using in resolving problem banks. So that we are saying this bank is not 100% sick. Maybe it has a slight cyst somewhere. So you remove that cyst and then you let the bank be taken by a more solvent bank. And this is the first time we are doing this in Africa. And from our experience with SBM, we are seeing a bright light at the end of the tunnel. Now, come to Imperial Bank. Imperial Bank, we are now in talks, of course, as you rightly said, the other day we released the press release.
Yes.
With KCB. We are at an advanced stage, at least to also resolve it. And our belief, our hope, and our confidence is we shall also resolve it. But of course, banking, because of its nature and the sensitivity that surrounds the business of a bank, it's not like a car where you take it to a shop and say, here the car is, can you buy it? There are a lot of intricacies involved, and we are working day and night together with the Central Bank and KCB, and soon Kenyans will also be happy to see the outcome of what we are doing in Imperial Bank. And all this is in line with now going forward to resolve what we call problem bank or failed bank. However, the strategy we are coming up with our now broadened mandate is to ensure that a bank does not reach that stage of the doors closing. Because we know a closure of a bank affects both lives and properties and businesses. And what we want to do is to work very, very closely with our other called safety net players, with the Central Bank of Kenya and the National Treasury, to ensure that we also want to work with our members, the banks. We also want the banks also to play a kind of a self-regulatory mechanism.
Yes.
Like soon we are introducing what we are calling a risk-based premium. Currently, we charge banks flat rate premium. All of them, we charge them 0.15% of their annual deposits, which comes to KDIC for us to invest in it, and in the event of a failure, to pay back the depositors.
Yes.
However, what we want to do now is we want the banks also to play their role in these resolution initiatives.
Yes.
Where we'll develop, and this in accordance with the best practice, international best practice. Actually, I'm one of the assessors of international best practice. Is we want to introduce what we call risk-based premium, so that the banks themselves will actually charge the bank. The higher your risk appetite, the higher we are going to charge you, so that the banks also become now more kind of more averse and make sure that they only invest in investments where they get returns, so that the issue of bad loans will also address it there. The banks themselves have to fix it. Just like any other patient, when you have a headache, you go for Panadols.
Sure.
That's what we expect a bank to do. And where they think that, maybe I'm not feeling very well, they can come to the doctors. That is the central bank or the deposit insurance. So we also want to create that interlinkages, so that it becomes something which should not be seen to be the industry versus the regulator and the deposit insurance. We want to work in partnership.
All right.
Yes.
And Mohammed, looking at the big picture, I would like you to tell us more about the stability of Kenya's financial system, as you also bring us to speed, especially on some of the projects you're working on. We'll get your feedback after this quick commercial break, but keep engaging with us on our social media handles. We still have with us Mohammed, who is the CEO for the Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation. You don't want to miss out on this after this commercial break. Much more coming up, including climate financing on the other side of the break.
This is KTN News.
I am really excited having gone around this country as I coordinated for the county events. Now I'm looking forward to the county queens, all the 47 county queens, as they come and contest, because all counties are unique. All counties, according to me, are number one out of 47. It will be exciting to see that particular one that will break from the rest and take up the crown as Miss Tourism Kenya. And may the best God.
On Morning Express, we ensure that the minute you're up to the minute.
Morning Express has the best interviews.
We can sustain this.
True, and I agree with you that this kind of borrowing for the size of our economy is not sustainable.
We need to engage men when they're boys.
With news, information,
maneno ya business, ile kuchambua politics kidogo.
and then we don't just sit in the studio, but we go deep into where the news is. From Nairobi to Luangni Beach. On Morning Express, we don't just bring you the whole story, but we take you to where the story is and we get you into the story.
the host of the Euro 2024 will be Germany.
Really starting to go through the gears.
This is KTN News.
Welcome back. You're watching KTN Business today with me, Abi Agina. And just before the break, we were talking to Mohammed N. Mohammed, who is the CEO for the Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation, and we were talking about regulating banks in the country. And let me just pick it up from where we left it, and it was about the stability of our financial sector. Many of the customers feel that what we saw with the Chase Bank and Imperial Bank, it sort of points to a systemic issue. Is it a systemic challenge you're facing, or these are one-offs?
Thank you, Abi. I can say without fear of contradiction that whatever happened in Imperial and the Chase had no element of any systemic nature. And it can happen to any bank. It happens to many banks, and it's not unique to our environment. You have heard about the American financial crisis, the Asia financial crisis. However, when these are two small banks that had problems. And when there are problems in a bank, it's not that we say that the industry or the stability of the bank has been shaken, no. I believe, and I strongly believe, and I want to assure Kenyans, our banking industry is sound, solid, and robust. Mm-hmm. Indeed, a lot of investors, foreign investors, want to come and invest in our country. And that is why we are putting up some of these initiatives and some of these strategies. KDIC today is internationally recognized. Indeed, in 2016, we were rated the best deposit insurance, not because of our structure, because of the strategy that we have put in place and because of our law. Our law is aligned to the international best practice. Indeed, now we are populating our structure, and soon you'll be seeing a lot of visibility of KDIC, because one of our next initiative is to go on what you call a public awareness campaign, publicity campaign. All right. Because we want KDIC to be a household name in Kenya. So that my mother, who is in the village, know that when she takes her money to any bank, her money is safe. We don't want any monies being put under mattresses. We want these monies to come into the banking platform and develop our country. All right. So these are some of the initiatives, but we are saying all this, we have to work in partnership. Of course, problems will always be there. I cannot tell you there will be no problems. Sure. But we should learn how to resolve those problems efficiently and within the shortest time possible.
All right. Yeah. And in all fairness, Mohammed, as much as you've done a good job, we've also been on the receiving end when it comes to being proactive as an industry. And many, of course, asking, how is it that KDIC, Central Bank, never flagged what was happening in those banks? And are you seeing a change of tact, especially when it comes to being proactive rather than being reactive to handling issues in the financial system?
Thank you, Abi. Indeed, the mandate of KDIC is to be proactive. And our law gives us those powers. We have surveillance powers. We'll be working very closely with the central bank. That's what I'm telling you, where we'll see any red flag going forward, we shall be addressing it before it becomes terminal. So as you rightly said, yes, before KDIC did not have those powers. Okay, central bank, the regulator was also there. So we are going to work in tandem with the central bank and the national treasury too, to make sure that, and the members, those are the banks. Because let it not be looked as if it's regulators versus, because even the members, and this is what I always tell them, you members of the bank will benefit from a sound and stable financial system in Kenya. If there's chaos, everybody suffers. So they must also play their role to ensure that we don't have these problems in the bank. So if we all work in that unison, I believe we shall minimize. If not, we shall kind of avoid any bank closure in this country.
Great place to end the conversation, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.